Hello there, I'm Devin Schutte with your market news. Markets in Asia were mixed at the closing bell, and Japan's Nikkei rose 1.9%, while the Hong Kong's Hang Seng lost 0.5%, and China's Shanghai index remains closed since the 1st up until the 8th. This is for the Golden Week holidays. Out in the U.S., the Nasdaq marked a record-closing high on Thursday with support from the technology sector, while the benchmark S&P 500 barely managed a notch to a record close as investors cautiously monitored private labor market data in the second day of a U.S. government shutdown. The benchmark index's valuation was around its highest level since 2020. This was with the help of heavyweight technology companies such as AI chip leader NVIDIA and Broadcom. Now, with no official government data available because of the shutdown, investors are now monitoring information from other sources. When we look at the indexes, the Dow Jones is up 0.17%, the S&P 500 up 0.6%, and the Nasdaq is up 0.39%. All right, back home, the all-share index is up 1% at 109,206. And in our currencies, the rand is trading at 17 rands 24 cents to the US dollar. It's at 23 rands 24 to the pound sterling, and at 20 rands 24 to the euro. A quick look at the commodities. Gold is trading at $3,863, while platinum is at $1,600 an ounce, while the price of Brent crude oil is at $64.99 a barrel. All right, Devin Schutte is from Robert Group, and he's our market analyst for today. Devin, thank you so much for joining us. Firstly, it's the end of the week. What a busy week it's been, but let's wrap up the week. We saw some important things coming out. We saw the JSE rallying this week, briefly trading at 107,914 points, making a scene that, you know, those gold stocks were shining. We also saw Capitec results, Eskom results, as well as Tesla results. Wrap the week for us.
Yeah, so another fantastic week, and you know, these markets just keep on giving, don't they? JSE reached all-time highs yesterday and pretty much following it up today. And as you correctly said, that's been driven by the precious metal counters, gold having a fantastic September, platinum following close behind, and then Naspers process also pushing nicely there. So, yeah, I mean, you know, despite all the concerns that investors have around them, we really are seeing some very nice equity returns. The JSE, one of the best performing equity markets in the world at the moment. You know, believe it or not, we're up nearly 30% for the year, driven by those sectors that we've been discussing. And yeah, then you've also got the technology counters in the US doing quite well. But yeah, you mentioned Capitec. You know, this is just it's so hard to criticize what they've been doing there. There's just you know, continual positives. Yeah. Their profits continue to soar to about 8 billion rand, which is massive. They're increasing the dividend, which is wonderful for shareholders. Yeah. And I think for me, what was the standout number is the incredible customer base that they've built. 25 million South Africans are now customers of Capitec, and that's really just something quite incredible there. So yeah, a lot of good news. Despite the rainy day in Durban we're experiencing.
Yeah, we also had those Eskom results. They've made a profit after a long time, and you see those green shoots start to show their face in things like the manufacturing sector. I know that today the S&P Global South Africa PMI, it went up to 50.2 in September, up from 50.1 in August. It's a slight change, but it's in its expansionary territory, which is really good. Would you say that what the positivity we're seeing with energy reliability is now starting to trickle in sectors like manufacturing?
Yes, I think that's definitely possible. And, you know, these Eskom results are such good news for every single South African. I mean, for years, we've just been used to the slow-moving train wreck that has been Eskom, its electricity availability, and its financials. And actually, this time it's reported a profit, first time in 8 years, after-tax profit of 16 billion rand, which is really a major turnaround from just last year, where they reported a 55 billion rand loss. Yeah. So that's that electricity stability will feed into sectors, as you correctly said, like manufacturing. Our manufacturing sector is growing, albeit modestly. But, you compare that to the US, where their manufacturing sector is contracting with their PMIs, and ditto with the UK. I think there's more good news around than maybe it feels like at the moment, Yabo. And quite frankly, we'll take it. We need everything we can get in our economy.
We absolutely do. You briefly touched on what's happening in the US. That's that economic close down that's happening there. That's obviously affecting the release of key data. There was some private sector jobs that came out yesterday, but there's some set of data that are currently being impacted because of that shutdown. And I read earlier on that investors are now looking at other ways in terms of getting data. What does this do for the analysts, for the market, when it's not able to get key data in a timeless manner and in a consistent manner?
It's concerning because it heightens the level of uncertainty in markets. And remember, it's not just any data. This is the monthly non-farm payrolls number or the jobs number out of the US. And given what the Fed has told us, is that their labor market is the key economic data point that they're looking at. So now there's a temporary void. We're supposed to be getting that a bit later this afternoon. It seems very unlikely we are going to get that. And overall, that's probably a net negative until we get clarity there. These shutdowns are not new. I think the last time we had one in the US was 2019. And generally, as long as the saber rattling doesn't go on for too long and they get resolved in a few days, that's fine. But I think we've got to watch it very closely, and as we're saying, the lack of that non-farm payroll number will heighten the uncertainty.
Devin, great speaking to you. I wish you a great weekend. I've been speaking to Devin Schutte. He's from Robert Group, and he's been our market analyst for today.